Carmela, welcome to Halloween Daily. Thank you for talking to me today.
Thank you for having me.
I know it feels like to me this has been a long time coming. I know we first kind of touched base and started talking about doing an interview over a year ago now,
Long time
and
ago.
we were going to wait until closer to the film's release, and then the release got pushed back a whole year. But now here we are. As we're recording this, we're exactly 2 weeks from the release of Halloween Kills, finally, and
Finally.
it's excitement obviously is at an all-time high right now. We were excited to see some of you in the final trailer that was released, and I just saw you screaming in a TV spot on TV the other night in a commercial, and so it's pretty awesome to see you everywhere in the marketing for this film. So I'm
Yes.
just I'm just really excited to get to know a little bit more about you today, and to hear about some of your experiences on Halloween Kills and the previous Halloween film as well.
Oh, I'm excited to share. I'm excited to share. This is an exciting times right now. Right now, it's just amazing. Like I can't believe that I'm even here right now in this whole atmosphere, this whole world of Halloween. Like it's amazing. It's just amazing.
So we always being Halloween Daily News, we like to start off to get to know a little bit about you and where you come from, but also kind of through the Halloween holiday itself. So
hmm
I guess my first question is, well, where did you grow up, and did you celebrate Halloween as a kid? Was that something you look forward to, or not so much?
Right. So I grew up in Philadelphia, and it's more urban type of setting.
Hmm.
And in Philadelphia, around Halloween time, it's cold. So it usually gets very, 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 very cold. So like I would wear costumes. I did celebrate. We did celebrate. We would wear costumes. We had the little march at school and everything. We used
Hmm.
to march around. But you had to wear a winter coat on top of your
Hmm.
costume. So it was like you had to always open your coat when you go to someone's door and they're like, oh, who are you? And you're like, oh, here I am. Like, oh, let me take off my snowsuit almost like to show you who I am.
That's hilarious.
So it was fun when I was younger, and
Hmm.
when I had my children, it was fun getting them dressed up.
Yeah.
It was different though because my mom would make my outfits. Like
Right.
if we couldn't afford a costume, I mean, it was a lot of times she told me I was Donna Ross and all I had on was a dress, a wig, and some socks and my boobs, and I was Donna Ross for
Hey.
Halloween. So
Yeah.
but my children, yeah, they it was fun getting them dressed up for Halloween. And then after a while, I got a little tired of getting them dressed up. I was like, aren't you guys getting a little big? And they just kept on wanting to get dressed up. So, but yeah, we love Halloween. We love giving out the candy now.
Do you have a favorite Halloween candy yourself, and also a favorite Halloween costume?
Any of the mini chocolates with nuts,
Hmm.
chocolate and nuts, and caramel, things like that, that's fine. But the candy corn and things like that,
Yeah.
no. I'm not a big fan of a lot of different candies. Like even for Easter, I'm not your traditional candies like the Peeps and all those. I'm not
Hmm.
into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll just stick with the regular Snickers, the baby Snickers, and the little teeny things like that. And it's
Yes.
not that many calories, so you don't feel as bad.
Yeah. Yeah. The Snickers, you can't go wrong there. That's my weakness
No, you
there personally.
cannot go wrong with a Snickers. You
A
can't.
Snickers, yeah.
You
That's the good
can't.
stuff when you come home with some Snickers on Halloween night.
Yes, yes,
um,
yes. That
do,
is a
do
jackpot.
do you remember a favorite Halloween costume that of years past?
I had a. Oh, I don't want to date myself. Let me think. Let me try to. Okay. Well, I did. I had a little orphan Annie
That's awesome.
costume, and it was back then when you had the holes in the eyes and just the mask and
Oh
the
yeah.
band always popped. It always popped in the back of your head. So,
Yep.
and then it was the plastic outfit that were ripped by the time you were done. So I went
Yep.
to a Halloween party and we were bobbing for apples. The next thing you know, my outfit ripped. I didn't have a mask by the end of it. My mom came and picked me up and was like, what the hell happened? Like, why? I sent you here in an outfit and you come back looking like regular Carmela. What happened? There's a lot of things happened at the party. And the outfits just were crazy back then. They were just ripped. So yeah, it wasn't my fault.
Yeah, I remember those. Yeah, yeah, like the old Ben Cooper type costumes. They were like
Mm-hmm.
Collegeville was one of the brands, and yeah, it was
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
plastic
Mm-hmm.
masks that were never very comfortable, you know. But I
Because
remember
you could
having a few
never
of those.
see. They were always like cutting your eyes.
Yeah, it would cut
Running
your
around
eyes.
here.
Yeah, they were kind of brutal.
They were.
They're collector's items now, though. Believe it or not, they're collector's items.
Oh
But
yeah.
they
Well,
were,
mine.
yeah,
Well,
not to
mine was ripped
wear.
up that night, so it's not with me, and
Yeah,
it was definitely
it
ripped up that night.
was
So
long
that was
gone.
like that one.
That's great. That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember. I saw the A&E movie in a theater. That dates me. So I remember going to see that in a movie theater. So that's
Well,
that.
yeah,
I'll date myself with that one. My wife loves Annie though. That's like her favorite.
listen, we're
Um,
blessed to still be here. That's fine.
that's
However
right.
old we are, like yes.
Absolutely, absolutely, totally. Um, so when did you start to become interested in acting? How did that spark your interest?
Well, as you can see, my personality is outgoing. No, I'm the only child, so I had to entertain myself a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just my mother and I for most of my life. So um, I was always lip singing in my room, putting on performances, and I was my only audience.
Mm-hmm.
In school, anytime a project came up or an assembly came up and they wanted to do something, like I played Janet Jackson one time in elementary school on stage, like for Black
Wow.
History Month.
Mm-hmm.
Anything to get on stage, I was ready to go. And that lasted all the way through. And then I played sports in middle school more than I did acting, but still dabbled in acting as well. And then I took it seriously when I got to high school.
Mm-hmm.
And I did it all 4 years of high school. And I was actually with a theater company. So that's when I would say that it got really real. Like I felt like this is what I want to do. But it's so hard when you say this is what you want to do when most people who do it, it's a struggle. It's a
Mm-hmm.
struggle to be an actor. You're just that starving actor thing
Yeah.
that probably is true for a whole lot of people, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
But so you think like, well, how can I live if I'm going to act? But the whole time that I was doing other things and living my life and paying bills and doing all those things, in the back of my mind, I still always wanted to act. It never stopped. Like the feeling never stops
Mm-hmm.
at all. So yeah. So I've been doing it for a while now, but just theater mainly.
Mm-hmm.
TV and film, I just started about 6 years ago.
Oh wow.
Hmm.
Awesome.
Yes.
So so 6 years, so it was about 3 years ago now, I guess. Talk to us a little bit about Halloween 2018, and I guess did you audition for that role? You were billed in the credits as sexy nurse in that film, and your um Michael Smallwood's character is billed as the hunky doctor, and you guys are have your quick scene as sexy nurse and hunky doctor, and
Hmm.
so walk us through a little bit about getting that role first of all.
Okay. So normally what we do is we do self-tape auditions where we audition from home. So I auditioned for a project. It was a very small line. It was for police officer, and it had a code name, so it wasn't like it said Halloween or anything
Hmm.
like that. But it did have the director's information, which I knew who David Gordon Green was, and I didn't pay it any mind that he was bringing Halloween back out because you think of David Gordon Green, you don't think that.
Hmm.
But a couple months before that, I think when Jamie Lee Curtis came out with the ad with her standing on the Meyer step
Yes.
and she had on her outfit and she put the announcement out there that she was going to come back. I remember sharing that post. Didn't know anything about me being in any Halloweens or anything. Just saying this is exciting. Like I still have the post. I'm actually going to probably post it the week of or the day
Hmm.
of kills, just
Yeah.
because it means so much to me that I had no idea at all that I would be a
Wow.
part of this when I I share that. So yeah,
That is amazing.
it really is. It
It's
really is. So
how things work out. That's crazy.
so I auditioned, and it was funny because we were on our way to Philadelphia to visit. So I had forgot about it, like almost like the audition, and I was like, oh shucks, we have to do this audition. But we were already wrestling around, like trying to get packed and everything like that. So I was like, it's real quick. It was like one line. I was like, let's just do it real quick.
Hmm.
So I did it, and it was actually a police officer, like I said. So and the officer, I believe it got cut, that actual character.
Hmm.
So I got a call back from that audition as the police officer, and it was in Charleston. So I packed the whole family up. We all drove to Charleston, spent the night there, so I had some time to get myself together.
Hmm.
And then I went to the audition. And by this time, I still didn't know it was Halloween for sure. Um, I read something about Halloween coming to film in
Hmm.
Charleston, and but I was like, that's not it. I don't think. Like I didn't think it was it.
Right.
And when I walked in, they gave me the sides for, which is the scene for the officer, and then the casting director came out and said, no, 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 we want you to read for the wife. And I was like, oh shit. I'm already in my head right now about the police officer line that I have to do. Now you're giving me a couple more lines, and now I have to memorize those right now before I go in there. And then who came out? Okay, yeah, the when the casting director, he gave me the lines, I was sitting there trying to figure out the lines. There was other people. Matter of fact, I think I can't think of his name. Drew, is that his name? That was in
Oh,
Curse.
he played Oscar, I
Yes,
think. Hmm.
he was at the callback as well. I
Oh,
remember
cool.
seeing him. So I went over the lines, and then I went inside the room, and they put me with another gentleman because it was the wife and the husband.
Okay.
And we basically did the casting director grabbed the paper out of my hand, the paper that he just gave me, grabbed it out of my hand and said, we're not going to use that. We're just going to improv. And I was like, all right. It's like, I like improv. I love
Hmm.
improv actually. And I feel I'm really good at it. So I was ready for that. And like all the nerves just went out the window. And then I wound up doing twice with the one guy. And then I did it twice with another guy. So I had basically like 4 times to show them that I can do this.
Hmm.
And when I say them, I mean them. Like it was David Gordon Green. It was a table. It was David Gordon Green.
Wow.
It was, I believe it was Turek.
Hmm.
I almost want to say Akkad was there.
Oh, wow.
it just seemed like so many big people were in that room
Yeah.
just sitting there watching me. And I was just like, oh my Lord, like this is yeah. So it was a great experience. So then after that, I remember being so nervous. And oh, also I
Hmm.
was dressed as a police officer because there was a callback. So I was dressed not as a police officer, but in the outfit where I would look more as though
Yeah.
I'm a police officer and not a wife.
Hmm.
So the lady who was checking us in, she helped me. So she unbuttoned my shirt and she tied it into like a little knot, and she had my t-shirt out, and we were trying to make me look as feminine as we could. And because I tried to ask the casting director, I was like, do they know that I came in for officer? Like I didn't just come as a wife, like looking like
Right.
like so he was like, yeah, they know. So I don't know if they knew or not. I don't know a lot about I never know what David knows or
Hmm.
thinks because it's always something going in there, and he's always one step ahead of the game. So I'm sure that yeah, he knew that it was going to work out this way. He's probably the one that said make a read for wife. I don't know how that happened, but
Hmm.
I know I booked a role that I didn't initially audition for. So for all actors and anyone else, like if you go out for something, you never know what it might lead to. So just go ahead and give it your best. You never
Hmm.
know. Um, yeah. So then I got so it was a while after that. That was in October. I think almost the anniversary of that is almost, I think it's like October the 1st when I had to call back. So we
Okay.
headed back. and I didn't hear anything, nothing. And by this time I knew it was Halloween. So I'm like, oh man, now I want it. Like now.
Right.
I'm like, they didn't call me, they don't want me, they don't like me. So I went to go do my headshots this one day, and for some reason I felt at ease, like doing it was an appointment that was already made. It was with a great photographer. So I was like, all right, I'm just gonna have a great session and whatever. But the whole time I kept thinking about why they didn't call me. Why they didn't call me? You know, like why they didn't call me.
Mm-hmm.
So the night before, I was laying in the bed. This is a true story. I was laying in the bed and I was looking at articles and I just kept Googling Halloween. And this article came up. I don't know where it came from. I think it might have been like a Charleston local paper or something like that. And it said that they had halted production because they were supposed to film in the fall. But they were going to film in January now. So now it's December the 5th, I believe it was when I was this night. It was December the 5th. And when I went to go get my headshots the next day, I was like, oh man, I woke my husband up and I said, you know what? I was like, I still have a chance. And he was like, for what? And I was like, for Halloween. Like I literally woke him up and and he was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, because they didn't book it yet. They're still in production, blah, 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 blah. And he was like, okay, babe, like, all right, go to bed. Like, like whatever. And then that night, after I did the headshots, had a great day, took my time coming home, had just like an easy laid back day. But in the back of my mind, I still thought about like why they didn't pick me, because you always think that anyway.
Yeah.
About any audition that you have.
Sure.
In your mind, you're just like, I'm the bee's knees. So you have to think that about yourself in this business, because you get a lot of no's or you get a lot of nothing and you don't know. So no one is telling you you're good, you're good, you're good, you're bad, you're bad, you're bad, you're not that good. No one's telling you that. So you have to tell yourself that you're good. You have to believe in yourself. So I felt like I felt like the callback went really good. I had a couple of chances to show them. That night I got home, my agent called and left a message. I missed the phone call. And when I went to go get the phone, and we have cameras in our house. So we have cameras in the family room where I got the call. And I was listening to her voicemail and I just dropped to my knees and just started crying. Like in the middle of the floor, and it's all on camera. So we saved the video.
Oh man. That's awesome.
It was 2017 when that happened. So yeah, I just cried and because my husband, now let me say this. Okay. So I've been saying that my husband is a Halloween fan. I know what Halloween fans are now. My husband watched Halloween every night. He will watch it every night and he uses it to go to sleep. Like he'll watch it and eventually he'll fall asleep. So if you hear Halloween on anywhere in the house, on any TV, he's either asleep already or on his way to sleep. So that's what he does. It's like, he does that for a nightcap. But I say a fan, but he's not like a fan like real fans are. Like these people who know every intricate detail about Michael, the franchise. You guys are phenomenal. You are the real fan. So my husband he watches it. Okay. So he watches it. So we were excited because it was something that we had watched. Like since we've been together, we saw Resurrection in the movies together, like H2O. So it's like it's still hard to believe that I'm a part of that. And I think even then it still was hard to believe at the time until I got on set and saw James in the mask. So that's how I booked the job. Yeah. My agent called me that night and told me that I booked, and I was excited. Oh, wow. And so the part, it was something else. I believe it was a different costume. We were named by our costume. So it was a different costume. I think it was like a flapper or something like that. Like, so that's what it was when I first booked it. And then later on, like right before I went to Charleston, they were like, you're going to be sexy nurse. And I was like, what? Sexy? Me? So they changed it to sexy nurse. And that's how sexy nurse and Vanessa was born, I believe. I don't
that's
know about
awesome.
Vanessa. I know sexy nurse was definitely born back then. Yeah, so.
That's a great story, and yeah, it really does say a lot about, you know, giving your all for every single audition, and because like you said, you never know what they might see in that one audition that could lead to something
Mhm.
else, and just because it doesn't happen on your timeline, also it, you know, doesn't mean it's not going
Right.
to happen.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's definitely
Exactly.
an inspiring message to, like you said, other actors out
Just
there.
give your all
Yeah,
every time, and leave it on the table because you never know. You never know.
definitely.
I mean, they may not pick you, but they may even like you for something else. They may say like, "Oh, she was good for blah blah blah. She may not be good for this project, but I have her in mind." You just want to have your name in rooms where you're not there, and I hope my name is somewhere where I'm not at in a good way. In a good way, though. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
So you get the role. Now tell us a little bit about filming the 2018 movie. Uh, you, how long were you on set, and what was that experience like for you?
I was in Charleston for a couple of days. I was on set one day. That
Hmm.
the one shot we did it
Hmm.
one day. So that experience was really good. It was really really cold. It was like 20 something degrees because it was January
Oh
and
yeah.
they had just had a snowstorm, so it was like brutally cold. But and I had the same outfit on, the little outfit.
Yeah.
So I had heat warmers like everywhere. They were putting heat warmers like all over my body where you can't
Ah.
see them at places you can't see.
Hmm.
And so yeah, so every time it was time to go, like I was like literally trying not to shiver, like because when we would get in the car, I would shiver. Like my teeth just kept shattering. Like I was so cold. It was yes. But that's yeah, it was that day and it was just myself, um, Michael Smallwood and James Drew Courtney and everyone else that was just we were just sitting in a holding place together and James Drew Courtney was in his zone because you know how he is. He was in his
Hmm.
zone.
Yes.
And I didn't bother the zone. I didn't know how deep it was back then, but I soon found out. But I didn't
Hmm.
bother him at all. I don't bother anyone normally when
Hmm.
I'm on set. So, um, but just to even meet him then, um, and at the time he wasn't the James Jude Courtney that you all know now.
Right.
You know, he was just the stunt man who
Hmm.
was doing this. But the whole time, from then and now, he's still just a great person. So this doesn't define him. He's just a great person.
Hmm.
So with him not even having the status that he has now, still a great guy. Still a great guy back then without even knowing that this was going to happen. Still a great guy now when I saw him on Kill set, like again.
Hmm.
So he's been like a constant great guy. Um, so yeah, it was just us on set that were in the holding room. So I got a chance to actually see him, get into the zone. And
That's cool.
then, but he didn't have the mask on at all.
Hmm.
Um, and then when he put the mask on, it's just a whole different thing. It's just like I was gonna say he transcends. I was gonna say he transcends.
Hmm. Yep.
But he does though. Like he's so great at it,
Hmm.
So it's just like, and you know how great he is that if you didn't know that Nick Castle was in it, the transition between the two
Hmm.
is just so smooth, so effortlessly done. And it's like neither one of them have the same process of being Michael. I'm sure no one does, but they
Right.
make it their own, yet it's the consistency is just magical. Like the way that they have made this just seamlessly move on from 78 to now is just magic.
Oh yeah, yeah, I agree. I love their collaboration, and of course we love James here, and it's great to hear that your experiences there were so positive and so great on both sets. Um,
Oh yeah.
Now you said you had seen many of the previous Halloween films, so would you say you were and obviously you knew the magnitude of just appearing in this film, even in a small role, just being on a film, and you've already pretty much said that it was a magical set, and everybody I've talked to kind of has validated that as well.
Mhm.
Um, so would you say you were a fan of the franchise and knew the status of Michael Myers as like one of the all-time great movie
Hmm.
monsters, basically, of all
Oh
time.
yeah. Oh yeah. I was a regular fan though.
Yeah.
Like I was the one that they're making these trailers for. Like that was
Hmm.
me back
Hmm.
then. Like I didn't keep up with it year round,
Yeah.
anything like that. But when it was time, when a new Halloween movie, just like when I shared that post, when a new
Yeah.
Halloween movie was coming out, we were there. Like we were going to go see it. So I'm like your average Joe fan, I would say, because everyone knows who Michael Myers is. You might not like scary movies. You might not want to go see Halloween, anything, but you know who Michael Myers is,
Hmm.
you know? So I knew who he was. I knew of him. And, we love watching the movies. So right now, if I was to pick one, I don't know if you're going to ask this, but H2O is probably like, I know it sounds weird, but H2O is like up there for me
Hmm.
under the original under 18, then it would
Hmm.
probably be H2O if I could pick any other
Hmm.
one. And I would say H2O and two are probably
Hmm.
tied.
Yeah.
Because I like two too. Like I like two as well.
Yeah.
But as far as I have to put 2018 right underneath the original.
Hmm.
And I feel like after this is done, 2018 might go down a little bit and
Ooh.
kills might come up.
Ah, I like it. I like it.
Kills may come up.
Oh
Not just
man.
on my list. Not just
Right.
on my list either, on a lot of lists.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You said when you first met James and he was in the zone, and can you tell us a little bit about the first time you actually did see him in with the mask on? Was that actually filming the scene the first time, or were there a few minutes like right before action that you laid eyes on him? I'm just trying to
Hmm.
see the
Hmm.
first
No,
time you
it's
saw Michael.
like Chris guards that mask with his life.
How
So
bad?
so you don't see the mask until it's time for the mask. So
Hmm.
there's a rehearsal shot and he's up and you'll see Chris come over and then the magic happens. And that's when the mask goes on.
Hmm.
And that's when they get it adjusted and all of that, it happens right then. Because even right after it's over,
Hmm.
like you may see him like walk around with it a little bit, but usually Chris is right there to get the mask. And Chris is the mask handler. Like
Yeah.
I've only seen Chris with him in the mask.
Hmm. Nobody else
Rightfully so.
lays hands on it.
Rightfully, nobody else. It's just
Hmm.
those two guys, and they're so big. Like they're so.
Hmm.
I don't know if you've seen them both in person. You have, right? So they're
Yes.
both big.
Yes.
So you see like these big guys and holding the mask and taking the mask off and working on, So it's yeah, it's pretty cool. But yeah, so you don't see it until it's time. Like put it that way.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's the first time I saw it when we were rehearsing the scene prior to shooting and when we shot the
Very cool.
scene.
Now, in that brief scene, your character, who we now know is named Vanessa, but at the time, sexy nurse, she, you guys are kind of late for a Halloween party, and Marcus runs back in to get the keys, and you do kind of have a second or two, what seems like almost eye contact with you and Michael. We don't. He's off screen just for a
Hmm.
second, and you're on screen, and you kind of pause for a second, and it's as if
Hmm.
you're noticing that there's something off about this guy, and maybe he's
Right.
noticing you too. I don't know.
Hmm.
I kind of
Hmm.
I just rewatched the scene right before this interview, so it's fresh in my mind, and I kind of got the impression maybe he's seeing you as well. Do you remember filming that and hearing any specific direction about, now pause right here just for a second, or anything like that from David at the time?
Hmm. Yes, yes. It actually said it in the script as well.
Okay.
But yeah, it was, they had me like because I couldn't understand at first how they wanted because at first on this in the script it was like almost like he was behind a tree and I was looking trying
Okay.
to see him. So when we shot it, he was standing just right there in the middle of the pavement.
Hmm.
So looking at him like and David was, telling me to pause on him and look and then go. So, and they told Michael when to come out. So when he came out, it was time for me to do the next part of my scene.
Hmm.
But I was happy that I had to look because it gave me a couple minutes with him. Like, because, like you can see me turn around and look, even though it's a quick scene. So that was a good thing for me at the time. So at least for me, I know everyone's going back now watching it like, what is that? Because it was a quick thing and nobody really paid it any mind. And so it's like everyone's going back now, like, wait, what's that? Yeah. That was me.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're exactly right. A lot of people are going back and kind of paying extra close attention to that scene now, given what we've seen in these trailers and knowing that you guys are back for the sequel.
Yes.
So and before we get to the sequel, one more. Talk to me now about Halloween 2018 is out. It's released in theaters. Talk to me about seeing the finished film for the first time. What did you think?
So I remember inboxing Turk, asking him, was I invited to the premiere? For my one little scene.
Hey, I'd ask too.
Right? You can only ask.
Yeah, I mean,
no, yes, whatever.
Yeah.
And I think it was like, he let me down good. He let me down good. So I was like, okay, so I'm not going to be in LA for that. I better find a way to watch it. So we went the night before, and I told you, like, I'm the average Joe fan, but I will tell you that when we went to the movie theater, and we just got the tickets ahead of time. We usually like to get the tickets ahead of time so we know where we're sitting at, whatever, because there's 4 of us, the family, 2 children, husband. So we went to the movies, and when we walked in the theater, I noticed that it was on more than one screen. This is the Thursday. Thursday.
Yep.
I think it was like, Lady Gaga's movie that I love.
A Star is Born.
A Star is Born was playing around the same time. And I think that was already out. That was in one theater, and the rest of the theaters in the movie theater was Halloween. And when we walked in and saw that, I was like, whoa, like, this is the Thursday. This is not even the Friday. Like, how do these people know? Like, how did they know?
Yeah.
I thought it was almost like a thing that was going to be quiet, a little soft, day before. When we went in there, that theater was jam-packed.
Nice.
Jam-packed. And that's when I was like, oh my God. Like, this is bigger Halloween than even the ones that we would go see in the movies ourselves back then. Maybe because it was the 40 years. Of course, it probably was because Jamie Lee Curtis is back, but it was just a whole new thing, of fresh breath of air, and everyone was there to experience it. And I'm like, they're going to be looking at me. So when the movie was over, first of all, I think I held my breath all the way till my scene. So that's a long time. So I almost died halfway through. So you have, I told the kids and I told the husband, I said, it's coming now. It's going to come now. When he walks to the house, I'm like, I'm coming now. So when I walked in, we were all just hitting each other. Like, we were just like, so we're trying to be quiet in the movie, right? So it was all over. We sat there because we wanted to see my name come down, right? So you saw my name. And then there was this lady that was gathering her things. It was an older lady. She was by herself. She was gathering her things. And my husband was like, that was my wife. You saw the dirt, that was my wife. And the lady's like, okay, all right, honey. Like, I was like,
that's so awesome.
It was fast. That lady didn't see that.
That's great. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was good to see a whole bunch of people there, and it was good to experience it with my family too. It was good. It was really good. Yeah.
Yeah, I bet. And to see it for the first time, like you said, in a packed house with enthusiastic pre-opening night fans. I mean, that's got to be a special way to experience it for the first time like that.
It was, and I think that's why not only myself, which I don't matter as much, my pay scale is not up there yet, but for Turek and Blumhouse and David and John Carpenter, for all of them to make the decision to push this movie back to 2021 instead of 20, I think they all know how that feeling is to be in a packed theater. And they know that this movie can bring in a packed theater. Even during the pandemic, I'm telling you, I believe that it will. And, when you believe things, it should happen. So if you believe it, positive, it should happen. So I believe that it's going to be a packed movie theater wherever they go. Yeah. So, I mean, with masks, I hope. so everyone can watch safely. But that's what we wanted. I'm sure that that's what they wanted as well, for everyone to be safe, to watch it in the theater and
Mhm.
experience it on the big screen. I mean, I know we have Peacock now, but you could always watch it in the theater, then go back
Yeah.
home and watch it on Peacock.
Yeah, I think, yeah, like you said, I mean, people are gonna still turn out in huge numbers at the theater, um, because it is kind of that community experience. Watching any type of
Hmm.
scary movie, you get kind of that community experience of the jump scares and just the tension in the room, and everybody kind of on the edge of their seat, literally.
Definitely,
So
definitely.
moving now into Halloween Kills. They announced a sequel. That it was filmed in 2019. They announced it like that summer, if I remember right.
Hmm.
When did you find out that they wanted to bring you back and to expand on this character?
It was in April of 2018, I believe.
Okay.
Um, and I got a call from my agent and said that they wanted to book me for the Righteous Gemstones.
Okay.
And I didn't audition. I was just booked for the job, and I couldn't wait to get there because I couldn't wait to see David. Like, I don't know, like something about him.
Hmm.
I can't explain it, but there's like you get connected to him. And I was only there one day, but something about him talking to me made me want to listen to him and understand, like,
Yeah.
where he's coming from, like, and not just look at him as a director who was just directing me really quick. Like, you could tell he loved what he was doing. You can tell that he just was excited about the whole situation and being part of the franchise as well.
Hmm.
So anyone who loves the arts like I do, like, I'm attracted to that. Like, I want more of it. So, like, I
Yeah.
wanted to be around his creativity even more. So when I got that, I was like, wow, like I get to see him again. Like, and when I saw him, I was like, he probably doesn't really remember who I am. But then he called me in for this, so he must know, right?
Yeah.
So in the scene, as soon as I saw him, when I came to set, I saw him and I just ran up to him and just hugged him and was like, thank you. Because I was thanking him for having me in Halloween and then putting me in Righteous Gemstones without even an audition. So that was
Hmm.
like huge. So I was thanking him for that. And we talked a little while. Um, he was saying, "You remember this guy? You remember that guy who was on set when we were on Halloween?" But all I remember
Okay.
was me and who was in the
Yeah.
room with me, the holding room, because it was so cold. You couldn't see everyone was like bungled up anyway, so you couldn't really see everyone. So he's like, "Remember him? Remember that one? That one? That one?" And I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, yeah." So that made me know that they always work together as well. So this is the
Hmm.
beginning of me finding out everything about them, you know. And so right before we were getting ready to shoot, David was like, just in casual conversation, because David's tone never changes. I don't know if you've heard him interview or seen him. Like, it
Hmm.
never changes. He'll laugh, but it'll go right back to that same tone. And so we were talking, and he was like, "So you're going to be in the next one, right?" I was like, "Next what?" And I had heard about Halloween coming out,
Hmm.
like a buzz about it, but it wasn't official.
Hmm.
Halloween Kills, it wasn't official at all. And this was in April of that year, so there
Hmm.
was no. And when he said it, like I felt, it may not be, but I felt like it was right afterwards. They were like, "All right, places marked." Like, and I was like, "You want me to do this scene after you just told me that I'm coming back for the movie?" Like, oh my goodness. So afterwards, I was like, "Are you serious?" And he was like, "Yeah, I'm serious." And I was like, he said, "You
Hmm.
didn't die?" And I was like, "Because I didn't die." Like, I was just like, what? So I will tell you the whole, like, I told him, I was like, because at the time, um, people were saying, like, just a couple people were saying, like, that we were Julian's parents back then. Even like there
Hmm.
was like a little rumble about it then,
Hmm.
because we were leaving out the house, so they automatically assumed that we
Right.
were. So they were saying that if it comes back, Julian's parents probably come back, whatever. So I was like, they're saying that we're Julian's parents, because I'm just trying to get in there on anything. Like, whatever you can get me in this movie, and
Sure.
like I
Yeah.
will be it. If I'm just if I'm just a sexy nurse coming back from the car,
Hmm.
going back in the house, I'm
Yeah.
fine with that. You know what I mean? But if we can get this a little bigger, let me tell you about Julian's mom. Like, I could
There you
possibly,
go.
And David was like, no, no, I don't. He's like, no, I don't see why they would say that. Saying. Then
Hmm.
he went to the whole like it could be, they're saying it because you're African American, blah blah blah. And I was like, yeah, that is true. So like that was the first time I really thought about it because I just don't think that way. Like I think
Hmm.
that, and he wasn't saying it in a malicious way. He was just saying like this is probably why they said that. Like
Right.
this is how you probably heard that you were probably his parents. And I
Hmm.
was like, oh. So I didn't know what it was, what the character entailed, anything. Like I didn't know anything. I just knew that I was coming back. And I think it was in July. I was out lunch with my husband and I got a call from my agent and she said that they wanted me to go to California for some things for the movie. And she was like, it's happening. And I was like, California? Like, really? And she was like, yeah, that didn't happen. So, but that's okay. So we didn't hear, because I didn't need it. So we didn't hear anything else, but we knew that something was happening. But I'm
Hmm.
so scary that I have to see it happen in order for me to be like, oh, it's happening. Like
Yeah.
even right now, like I have to see it happening for me to be like, oh, it's happening. Because I try to live inside of my moments now.
Hmm.
So like I try to stay where I am right there, centered. So um yeah, so I didn't hear anything else. And then September came. Now I know that they're filming it now, and I know that Kyle's coming back.
Hmm.
I know that Nancy's coming back. I know that Anthony Michael Hall is there. So they're just announcing these things like left and right. So I'm just
Hmm.
like, oh, all right, well, I didn't hear anything. And then my agent called me and she said, it's really happening now. Like this is it. Like this is happening. And I was like, really, really? And she was like, yeah. She said they're gonna send over the information to you, whatever. So they started sending over the information. So you have to do a whole lot before you get the sides. You don't get the script. You don't get the script
Yeah.
right away. I'm sure you know that there's a whole bunch of stuff you have to go through before you can get that paperwork, things like that, security measures, confidentiality,
Oh
things
yeah,
like
I
that.
bet.
So I'm like, I'm reading everything because I want to make sure I'm reading things right. But at the same time, like it feels like it's a dream. And it also feels like I can't believe this is happening. So you're trying to take in the paperwork because it's some real paperwork. So you're trying to
Hmm.
get all of that together and make sure you cross your T's and dot your I's. But at the same time, I'm trying to hurry up and get to the script. Like I know, like, okay, if I fill this out, then what? Like I fill this out, then what? Is the script coming? Like I want to know what my part is.
Yeah.
And then that baby finally came. And then right after that, they said, yeah, we need you to be there on Monday. This was Saturday. This was
Oh,
Saturday. Yes. And they were like, we need you to be there Monday. And my daughter had just started flag football. She plays flag football for her school.
wow.
And it was her very first game. She was nervous about it. And that was that Monday. And at first I told her that I had to leave. And it was sad because I had to leave for a long time. And we're never usually apart from each other that long.
Hmm.
And you could tell the disappointment was in her face, even though she was happy for me. So I asked because I didn't know if I should ask, but I asked if we just move it to Tuesday. Can I come Tuesday? So they
Hmm.
were just very nice enough to move everything around so that I can go to my daughter's game and still make it to Wilmington on Tuesday. So yeah, that was great. They were very accommodating, very yeah.
Yeah, that's great that they were willing to work with you a little bit there
Yes.
and help you with some of your family obligations too. That's great
Oh
that they
yes,
were.
yes, yes. Mm-hmm. Yep.
So so now let's talk about a little bit of the shoot, of what you can tell us, some of your experiences. I imagine you were on set longer than a day this time. About how long would you say you were on set? Do you know how many days it was?
It's like almost 2 months.
Okay, so
Like
pretty much the whole
yeah.
shoot then, probably. I think it was only,
Well, yeah, a nice chunk of it. A nice
yeah,
chunk of it.
like a pretty big.
Yeah, we were there from the beginning, so yeah, we were there for a nice little chunk of it. Yeah. Hmm.
And of course now, bringing back these characters, I mean, that's gotta feel pretty rewarding that these characters that don't even have proper names in the first film, now they're kind of transformed to Vanessa and Marcus, and we're going to see a little more development in their character. It sounds like. So that's got to seem pretty cool, and the fact that they brought you and Michael both back, they could have gotten other actors and had a whole other couple hypothetically, but I mean, I think that says something that they brought you guys back, and of course,
it says a lot.
As you mentioned, a lot of the characters from the original '78 film they brought back here as well. But yeah, maybe you can just tell us a little bit about how that felt, knowing that your character meant enough, and your performance, even in that brief scene, meant enough to bring you guys back, and now you say even to push back your shooting time by a day, just to help you be able to be there and be in the right mindset, which we all know is important for any artist to be able to create. You gotta be in the right mindset.
Well, I remember when we were reading the script, my husband and I, that Saturday. I told you that we finally got the script. I remember I had my phone. We were laying down in our sitting area. We were laying down on the floor, and I was reading through it, and I kept reading. I was like, "Uh-oh, I'm still in this thing. Like, I'm still here. Like, this is like I'm still." And we're just like excited. Like, we're just like, what? So, not only to be back, but to be back and have a larger role, and to have a name, an actual character that can be developed. Wow, it's huge. It's huge. It's I still can't believe it. There are things that are happening this week and next week, and things are happening right now, and I don't want to get choked up, but I'm in disbelief. Still, I'm here. Sorry. I'll tell you a little story, and I don't even think that he knows that it affected me like this. But I brought a tissue. Hold on, I brought a tissue. Okay. Okay, so when I got to set, I have all these lines, and I just got the script. I remember seeing Michael, and it was the first time we saw each other, didn't talk, like during the break of 2018 to 2000, when did we do this? 19, right? 19, right? So we saw each other and I was like, what? Like, we were just like, can you believe that we're here? Like, and he said, when did you find out? And I was like, Saturday. He was like, I found out in July. And I was like, and it wasn't confirmed in July, so I didn't really. And then he was like, well, when did you get your script? I said, Saturday. And he was like, oh, I got mine back in July. So he knew. He knew this whole time that we were Marcus and Vanessa. I had no idea until that Saturday before. Now I'm there Monday. So I'm just like, so I never had a chance. The moments that I was telling you about, it felt like they were just one step ahead of me each time. Like I never got to be in the moment, because I think my anxiety was so bad that I was so nervous of being there. You want to do everything right. Now I have more days not to F up. You know what I mean? Like now I have to, now it's not just one day I got to concentrate on being all right. And I have a whole bunch of days I had to concentrate on being right. And it's not just me that I affect now, who's walking by myself. I affect a whole bunch of people if I don't get this right, So, and people that I admire.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so it was, okay, so the story is this. I got there, I went to wardrobe first. Normally, we go to wardrobe, so I'm in Wilmington. Okay. Just got there, just drove it. So I'm looking for people that I know. Like I saw James at first when I was filling out paperwork, and but he was busy, so I didn't bother him. Like I didn't say anything because I wanted us to have time when we saw each other. So then I saw David, and David and I talked. And then right after David, I saw Turek. Now, Ryan Turek and I told you I had asked him about the premiere. Yep. The premiere. So like I remember like writing him, he was like, well, one day it will happen. Like I'll see you later one day. Like I didn't know Kills anything about it. I was just like, well, like, Because when you get let down like that, you don't know what to say. Like you're like, oh well, I was just asking just because.
Right, right.
Just to see what you was going to say.
Uh-huh.
I figured I wasn't going to be invited, but I was just going to ask. Like that's how when we ended
Yeah.
it like that, right? So I saw him, and he said, "Look at you, girl!" Like like how he thought. He was like, and I said, "Yeah." He was like, when he said that he was bringing y'all back, I was like, "Bringing who back?" And to be honest with you, I was thinking the same thing with him. Like we could have high fived on that. Like I don't know. I was like, why he bring us back? You know what I mean? Like, but I was like, he brought us back. Like it's a blessing, whatever,
Mhm.
whatever. Because I'm still trying to play cool. And Turk is a little intimidating, like he's all,
Mhm.
and he's a big man, and he's huge, like not just his body, but also who he is. He's a
Mhm.
producer of the movie.
Yeah.
So, in the way he said it, he didn't mean it in a bad way, but it was one of those things like you could take it however you want. And the way I took it was like he was like, "Yeah, like you bringing in," but and the reason why I took it that way and ran with it, he didn't say it that way, but I had already felt that because I know that Halloween is huge, right? I know that
Mhm.
2018 at the time had came out, and it was even bigger than what we thought it was going to be, right?
Mhm.
So now the sequel is coming out. I know, I don't know, I don't know personally, but I can imagine that David or Danny or maybe even Scott. I know Scott wrote it, but like I'm sure that somebody had to walk in some room and say, "I believe that these two can do it. Like
Mhm.
they give them this part." Like, and they were like, "Who will?" Some bigwig in Universal was like, "So where were they at in the other movie?" Like, you know what I mean? Like, we
Mhm.
barely saw them, and you want them to do what? Like, you want them to do all of this.
Mhm.
So whoever did that, whoever said that, if you're watching, thank you, because it's the truth. We really could do it, and I really did do it. And so the story, again, back to the story. One of the nights that we were filming, my family was coming into town. We were off. We were going to be off like that following week, so I was going to spend time with my family.
Mhm.
So I think I mentioned it someone, and then David was like, "Tell your family to come." So so my family came to set, and it was a big night of shooting. So I remember standing there with my children because I was basically telling them, be invisible, like
Mhm.
stay, like don't touch anything, don't say nothing. Somebody come to you, you say something, don't you go over there and talk to nobody. I was like, you stay in your little zone right here.
Been there.
So everyone kept coming up to them. James was like the best with them. Like, everyone kept coming up, everyone kept coming up. And then I was standing there and I was getting ready to shoot. And I was getting ready to get into my scene. And Turek walked over and he said to my kids, he said, "That's your mom?" And they were like, "Yeah, that's my mom." And he was like, "She's a great actress." Now this is like weeks in. And
Mhm.
he was like, "She's a great actress." He was like, "When you see your mom, you're gonna be so amazed." Like, and when he said that, it was like it was full circle for me. Because all my insecurities that I was already thinking that, were trying to creep up on me, it was almost like when he said that, even though he didn't mean that initially, when he first
Mhm.
said, I was like, "You bringing who back?" I already felt that way. Like, why are they bringing me back? And then it was like halfway through. I'm after the first night, because the first night was a little rough because I was like, we're staying up till how late and how long are we shooting? So
Mhm.
that was a little rough. But after that, I knew that I was there to prove to them that I'm supposed to be here, because I know that even though whoever was in the room saying that they can do it, there was somebody around that was saying, "You bringing them back?" Like, that thought, like, "You sure they could do this?" I mean, because even coming in hair and makeup, and everyone who saw me, they were like, did you read the script? We were like, "Whoa, like they're bringing you back," like, like, and it was like, so that's how it started out. Like, it was a thing going around, like they're bringing them back. And when they saw us, everybody wanted to know. Well, I can't say for Michael, but everyone wanted to know how I felt. And the sweetest person who wanted to know how I felt about it was Andy Matichek.
Oh wow.
She said, "This is gonna," like, she said, "when this comes out, like, I hope you're ready." Like, because she had already been through
Mhm.
it.
Yeah.
And you know, just the fact that she recognized that the role was, you know, a nice role for me to even have to buckle up. You know, she was basically saying it. I mean, she first saw me, she beeline to me and said, "How does it feel? Like, how did it feel when you saw the script? Like, how did you like? No, when you saw the script, like, you know." And I thought it was just like a blanketed, you know, just
Yeah.
asking me because she see me. No, she really wanted to know how I felt. She really wanted to know what I thought when I saw my scenes. She was really, really happy for me. Um, and this didn't just happen just the first time I saw Andy. This happened every time I saw Andy. Like, we beat the trailers and she'd be like, "So did you feel it yet? You still feel it? You feel it? How you feel?" And I'm like, "I still don't, like, I don't, no, I don't, not yet. I didn't feel it yet." So I imagine that when we meet up somewhere again, that I'll tell her that I'm feeling it right now. I'll be in that moment next time I see her, and I'll be feeling it. I'll be feeling it. And I just wanted to thank Turek for telling my kids that, because
Hmm.
they didn't see the movie yet. I didn't see the movie yet. I remember my daughter, you know, like saying like her little friends at school. She was in middle school at the time. I think she was when I did 18,
Hmm.
and they were like, "We didn't really see it." Like, you know, like nobody really, because it was fast. Like, now
Yeah.
you're going to see me. You're going to see me. Not only see me, you're going to know that I'm an actress. Like, I
Yeah.
can do this. Like, you're gonna know that. And for Ryan to recognize that was huge for me. It's huge. And I'm sure he wasn't the only one that recognized it, not even in a cocky way. I'm just
Hmm.
meaning, like, we were there to work. We were there just like everyone else was.
Wow. I
With
mean, that's so great to hear. It really is.
mm-hmm,
And just again, the trust that they put in you guys, you know, I mean, they, you know, David had worked with you twice now, you know, on between
mm-hmm,
Gemstones in 2018, and that you guys clearly hit it off, connected in a good way. And yeah, that just
mm-hmm,
sounds so great to hear. And to know that they did bring you guys back, and for in such a substantial way, you know,
mm-hmm,
and not just that it literally connects the films in a good storytelling way, but
mm-hmm,
you know, just that they, you know, saw, like you said, they saw the talent in you guys to be able to work
mm-hmm,
with some of these um you know, people like Kyle Richards and Nancy Stevens, and we know that, you know, you guys get to work with them just from what we've seen in the trailers. And
mm-hmm,
I even remember, I remember last year, I think it was last summer, we
mm-hmm,
did the David Gordon Green did a Twitter watch along of
mm-hmm.
2018, and he mentioned you guys, you and Michael's, when you appeared in that, and he didn't really say a whole lot, but he did say, you know, you're gonna, he more or
Look
less
out for
said, we're
them.
gonna see more of
Mm-hmm,
this couple.
mm-hmm.
You're, you know, you're gonna see a lot more of them in the next film. And then I think even during that he did kind of debunk the, no, they're not Julian's parents, but just
Yes, he
watch, you're
did.
gonna, you know. So I think and so even right then it was like, for me, I'm like, well, this is pretty cool that they're taking, you know, these characters that we just glimpsed, you know,
Mm-hmm,
for just a very short time.
mm-hmm,
And but yet you did have that moment with Michael, so it definitely makes sense that, you know, we're going to see more of your night, your character's night, Vanessa's
mm-hmm.
night.
Yeah.
And obviously she's going to come back into contact with Michael at some point, it looks like.
Yeah.
What can you tell us? I mean, obviously we know no spoilers and everything, but what can you tell us about Vanessa that we don't know? I mean, we know she, you know, sexy nurse costume, but
Mhm.
what can you tell us that you can tell us?
Vanessa is bad. Like, she is a bad chick. Like, she's very loyal. Um, in my mind, she's very loyal.
Hmm.
Um, she she is a badass to me. Um, but she's a normal person who's in a situation where, you know, this doesn't happen all the time. So even the toughest badass still, when confronted with Michael Myers, is like, you know, it's like a mouse to an elephant. So it's like, you know, so
Yeah.
but yeah, she's a pretty cool chick. She's a little sassy.
Hmm.
She got a little sassy mouth on her. But she's a cool chick. She's cool. I can't wait for you all to meet her. Like, I can't wait for you all to see Vanessa. And she's a bad chick because she runs around those hills the whole time too. Let's just put that out there, okay? That was
Yeah.
the hill. Actually, she was running around in that whole little outfit with her behind out.
Oh.
That's tough right there. Like that's
Mhm.
that's a tough chick right there.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes. So yeah, she's a yeah, she loves Marcus, even though he gets on her nerves. Yeah. So yeah, I would say they have a great little dynamic, those two. So yeah, you'll see. You'll see.
And that must have been, part of what made it special too. Like you mentioned, reuniting with Michael from the first film, and even in that brief scene, you guys do have some kind of funny banter about, oh, I need my stethoscope, and oh, just leave it. No, I got to get, it's kind of, just like a husband wife, on their way late to a costume party would be, and like those of us that we've all been there. But yeah, maybe you can talk just a little bit about the chemistry between you guys. Obviously, they saw that in the first film clearly, to bring you back. But you got to explore that a lot more in Kills.
A lot more. So you'll see a whole bunch of Vanessa fussing probably. I don't know what they used and what they didn't use, but I know that yeah, they have the regular husband and wife. Like if you've been together for a long time, you're going to go at it, like and there's going to be a winner, and usually it's the woman because you guys are smart enough to let us win. So
Yep.
I think Marcus is kind of like that too. He's like your average guy that's married and wants to stay married. So yeah, so that's how that happens. So death do us part.
That sounds awesome. Talk to us a little bit about working with Hal Richards. I mean, this is a big deal for those of us longtime fans of the franchise. She and Nancy Stevens are both reprising their characters from the original 1978 Halloween. And it's a big deal that they're back and playing their same characters, and everybody's really excited, and we got to see them in this final trailer interacting with you a little bit, your character. Can you talk a little bit about working with those two?
Yes. So Nancy, let's start with Nancy. Nancy and I still communicate to this day. Like we just text yesterday, day before, like we text all the time. Nancy is like my BFF. That's my husband calls her, like my BFF, right? And she was the first person that I actually worked with. And before we worked together, we actually hung out together. Like we went to dinner together, like we were at the hotel, so we were just like, we're just gonna hang out. Like, and I had to pinch myself so many times. Like I'm sitting across from Nancy Stevens. Like I told you, we watched the movie, so we've seen her. She's in all of those ones that we watched. Basically.
Yep.
And she has the pivotal role of giving information that's crucial. So she's royalty to this franchise.
Very much.
And I told her that, and she's so humble. She's just like, no, not me. I just love my grandbabies. Like she's just so sweet, like and she's such a great person. So that was cool. And so kind of like getting to know her made it easier for me to work with her because we were hanging out before we even worked together. So and then we're still talking now. So like she's really, really cool.
And it's a cool kind of nod too, and just knowing what we know about David and this writing team and everybody involved. It's I'm sure it was no accident to have you in a nurse costume interacting on screen with Nancy's character, who we all know as Nurse Marion from the original films, and Halloween and Halloween 2, and then later in H2O. So again, clearly that's no accident, and just a real kind of treat and Easter egg type reference for us fans to see.
I think, and I know I'm a little overprotective of the franchise now, especially the new reboots, because I'm a little biased. But I feel like the fans and the universe, even though and the passion is phenomenal. Like I love the passion and dedication that the fans have. But sometimes I feel like they don't understand what it takes to make a movie, and I didn't understand that either until I was actually on this set. So it takes a lot. It takes a lot of hours. Like if we're there complaining, I mean, there was one night that the first night I was really tired. And I remember thinking, when I got here, the crew was already here. When I got here, David was already here.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm complaining about being here till the sun comes up, they've been here way before the sun
Yeah.
went down. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, so I'm not going to complain. But I wish that people knew more of what goes into these projects. Money, time. I mean, David is a workhorse. And I know that if you don't love it, it would be difficult. So you can tell that he's going off of the love that he has for this,
Mm-hmm.
not just Halloween, but just filmmaking itself. And not just him, the whole cast and crew. Like they love what they're doing. But I want everyone to know, and I'm gonna say this to your viewers, that these guys truly, truly respect this franchise. I mean that from the smallest person on the set, which is probably me, to to the highest person, which is the producers and Akkad. Like
Mm-hmm.
they understand how much this means to you all. It's just hard to please everyone. So everyone is not going to be pleased.
Yeah.
But just know that not only their hearts and what they feel, even Ryan Freeman, like they all have put their blood, sweat, and tears in this. So even when 2020 came and people were mad because they delayed it, these people have spent money of their own, their time. They were there on set. They were working those same hours we were working, just there, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Freeman was there nights. Turk was there all the time. Like, so they have dedicated their time away from their families to do this and to bring something special for you guys. And the thing about David is that his wheels are always turning. You could always tell, like someone with a great mind, like they're always thinking of the next thing. There's nothing that I say that is really left up for coincidence with him. So like you'll be doing something, you don't realize that this is a callback. You don't realize that,
Mm-hmm.
they've thought about everything. And I know you've seen the seasons of Witch
Mm-hmm.
Mass. They've
Yep.
thought about everything, everything. I mean, in a great, tasteful way. It's not just things thrown in there just because.
Yeah.
And that's I think for you fans, I think that's the fun part of it because the average Joe viewer who was me back then. I mean, I knew the season of the Witch Mask. I did know that, so I would have
Mm-hmm.
known that. But there's some things that I don't. I mean, they were saying about the pictures on Julian's refrigerator. Like I didn't look at that. Like you know what I mean? Like there was
Mm-hmm.
arguments about what house we came out of because that's the detail that
Mm-hmm.
you guys have, which is awesome. So just instead of complaining about what's in the trailer, because believe me, the trailer hurt a little bit for me too. So everything that's in the trailer,
Yeah.
don't complain about it. Just know that this whole experience is as a whole. So you could the fact that this franchise has a rebirth and a great rebirth, it's a big deal. So just when you feel like you want to get upset about something that one of the filmmakers did, or you get mad at Jason Blum, or you get mad at whoever, just know that it's bigger than that. And it takes a whole lot, there's a whole lot of wills to this. And they all need to move in order to make this work. And everyone who's moving all of those wills care about how you guys feel about this movie. So that's why they wanted you to watch it in the safest place, in the theater, and even the Peacock thing. Like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so you have it at home now. There are people who love this movie just as much as you do and can't
Mm-hmm.
make it out to go to the theaters. So now
Yep.
they have a chance to see it. Sometimes we get, I mean, and especially in this day and age, we get a little selfish and we start thinking about just ourselves. There's people who can't get out the house because they have weak immune systems or things like that, and they can't come out in this COVID weather. So to watch it at home is huge for them. That's that's a plus for them. You
Mm-hmm.
can still go to the movies and come home and watch it. You have that choice, but some people don't have a choice. And I think that even though the Peacock thing may have been a little sting, the 2020 pushback may have been a
Mm-hmm.
little sting. Everything happens for a reason, and it's all going to work out perfectly. I really feel in my gut that you guys are going to love this movie. I mean, I feel that I'm going to love it. I haven't seen it, so I feel that I'm going to love it as well. Um, but Kyle,
Mm-hmm.
so Kyle, so I'm a big Housewives fan. I don't think it's that much of a secret anymore, but I love Housewives. Like
Mm-hmm.
yesterday was Beverly Hills night at the house, so I shut the door. The kids don't bother me. The husband doesn't bother me. Like it's that time. So I watch my Housewives, and I watch
Hmm.
all the Housewives. So it's not just Kyle's franchise. So, but I knew who Kyle was because I'm like, I was growing up like I was like a reality junkie when they started. The reality
Hmm.
show started. I mean, like from the Real World, the first one, all the way up until The Simple Life with Paris and them. So I remember
Yep.
watching The Simple Life with Paris and Nicole, and I remember seeing Kyle, and I remember she looks like I remember saying she looks just like Paris, but with dark hair. Like they all have strong
Hmm.
genes, like they're very beautiful. I remember saying that. And then when Beverly Hills started, and then her and Kim, her sister, was on there, I got to learn more about her. And so over the years, I've been watching it consistently. So I kind of knew the Kyle that I see on TV
Yeah.
and wasn't sure, is that Kyle on TV the same Kyle that I'm going to meet when I go to Wilmington?
Hmm.
Or is that just something that they do and she's been doing it for so long that it's really not her? But at the same time, I also knew so much about her from watching it that I thought I knew her, even though I didn't know her. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Because
Yeah.
you're a fan, so you watch it. So it's a reality show, so you think you know their reality. You think you
Sure.
know her husband, her children, whatever, whatever. There was one
Hmm.
time we were eating breakfast together, and she said something about her husband. She's like, Mo, blah 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 blah, and I was like, no, Mauricio wouldn't do that. I don't know that man. I've never met that man.
But you feel like you did.
I feel like I do. I've
Hmm.
never met that man a day in my life. I was like, no, Mauricio wouldn't do that. Not, they better go ahead. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and
Hmm.
she was like, I know he wouldn't. Like, and then I remember, and then it was funny because I was trying to play so cool with Kyle. I think Kyle at the most. It wasn't even Anthony Michael Hall who I had watched, growing up. It wasn't
Yeah.
even him. I felt like, wow, like I can't believe he's here. But I was more nervous about Kyle because I knew Kyle. I felt like I knew Kyle as a person.
Hmm.
Then I knew them because they were actors, and I felt like I saw her life. Like she let me into her life. This is probably gonna sound crazy and stalker fanish, but like she. So I was excited to see her, and I remember when we pulled up for rehearsal, the first day for rehearsal, and I pulled right next to her, and I remember staying in my car. And then as soon as she got out, I saw her like looking at herself, getting herself together, and she went inside. And I called my husband. I was like, I just saw Cal. I just saw Cal. I just saw Cal. Now,
That's
mind
awesome.
you, everybody else had been coming in one by one too, but obviously Kyle was like the biggest thing for me. So
Hmm.
for me, Kyle, the Kyle thing was hard for me because I was trying to suppress it the most. Because there was even a time when she was talking about her sister, like in a good way, and I mentioned
Hmm.
like an episode that happened, and she was like, "Wow!" Like she turned around to me, like, "You really?" And then I was like, "Let me dial it back some."
Uh-huh.
Let me dial it back some. And then what happened was I wound up dialing it back too much, where I felt as though she was like regular person Kyle, like like because she really is that person that's on the Housewives,
Yeah.
not the bad stuff, but everybody goes through the things that they go through. Well, we don't have as much money as they do, but they go through a lot of things that we go through. It's just
Yeah.
being filmed, so that's she's being a regular person. That is her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So good and bad, take it and
Hmm.
leave it. That's her. So I only saw the good, and actually knowing Kyle in Wilmington was actually cool because we had set up a spa appointment and they said they had no availability for me. And then Miss Richards had called and all of a sudden there was an opening. So I was like,
Mm.
oh, right. So it was good to have Kyle's there.
Yes.
Like, so
Does have
yeah,
its
so she,
advantages sometimes.
yeah. So she was really, really cool. So yeah, I got too cool with her. Like I felt like she was just too cool after a while. And then after we left and we wrapped, I remember one night I was on Instagram. She had liked one of my pictures because we follow each other, and I was like, "Damn, Kyle had she liked one of my pictures." Let me go to her page. So I went to her page, and I had never went to her page because there's so many housewives that I watch and like. So I never went personally to her page, and I went to her page that day, and I was like, "She hangs out with Kris Jenner. Like she knows them. Like she knows like her niece is Paris and her this and her that." Like I just see what I see on the show, even though
Yeah.
I know this, I knew this, but I was like, and she was cool as hell. You know what I mean? Like she made me forget who she was. Put it that way, in a
That
good
is
way.
cool. Yeah.
And then when I looked at her page that day, I remembered, and I was like, shit, like she is really something else. I mean, but I knew that after we wrapped, and I told her that, like you do a lot, and she's a great mom. Like she ran back and forth for her kids and her family. Like
Hmm.
that lady is dedicated to her family. So not, so just to be around someone that was genuine like that, and then to see later to realize, like, really hit me that this lady is something. Like she is she was in Halloween 78. Like she is Halloween royalty as well.
Hmm.
And then everything else that she's done since then,
Yeah.
it's huge to keep your name relevant in Hollywood. She grew up in Beverly Hills, so that's hard to keep yourself relevant in a good way. And I
Hmm.
believe that she's done that. She's a phenomenal person, like great mom. Nancy is a great mom and grandmom and wife as well. Um, yeah, Anthony with his fiance, everybody is just like in it. You can just tell like everyone was in a good place. Everyone was in a good place, and I feel like it has a lot to do with this movie. Like it has a lot to do with it because a lot of us, well, I came back, but a lot of them came back as well to revisit these characters that they haven't revisited in a long time.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that that first day, even in rehearsal, we were all nervous. We were
Hmm.
all nervous, and I'm sure David was probably more nervous than we were because what did he know that we could really, really, really do once we had the scene in our hands? And
Hmm.
so you could the first day we had rehearsal, you could just sense the tension. It was just like, whew, like everyone wanted to do well, everyone was introducing themselves to everybody, but everyone was really good. It's going to be a good thing for everyone. I can just feel it. I can feel it, and I'm so happy for everyone that was involved.
It sounds amazing. And you mentioned briefly working with Anthony Michael Hall and getting to
Hmm.
meet him on set. And of course,
Hmm.
he's new to the franchise, but certainly not new to iconic franchises and iconic movies. I mean, he's done everything for many years, and I know
Hmm.
he's excited. I've never met him, but I know he's excited for this movie because he's been posting about it on his social media for the last 2 years, and
Hmm.
I have
Hmm.
heard a few other interviews with him where he's expressed his excitement for this role of Tommy Doyle, which is a
Hmm.
pivotal role, like Kyle's role of Lindsay Wallace from the original
Oh
film.
yes. Hmm.
What was it like meeting him? You said you were a fan of his as well.
Oh my goodness. So we were sitting down one day. This is like the first day of shooting. And I went over to him and I was like, of course I know who you are. And I just wanted to say it's an honor to meet you.
Hmm.
And, like I usually tell everyone it is an honor because it is an honor to meet them because they're actors just like me, but they have worked hard to get to where they are and to earn the reputation that they have for us to know who they are. So it's important for me to give them the respect that they've earned because this is not easy to make it in this business. So if they've made it and we know who they are, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
So whether you knew who he was in the 80s and knew who he was in the 90s, you knew who he was at Edward Scissorhands, whatever the case is,
Hmm.
he's earned his keep, and it is an honor to meet. It was an honor to meet him, and he's a great actor. He's already proven himself.
Hmm.
So to be Tommy and come into a role that was already established more than once,
Hmm.
you know, Paul Rudd, and
Yep.
back in the day. So for him to come into that and then also have to prove himself as being well, he calls himself Michael as well. So Anthony Michael Hall from before, you have to show them that I'm not that guy anymore. I can do more than just that. Rusty Griswold is not
Hmm.
Tommy. And that the beauty of that, when you see him turn into Tommy, you forget about him not being in 78. You forget about him not being in it in six. It's six, right? Even
Hmm.
with
Yep.
Paul Rudd, right? Yeah.
Yep.
You forget about that because he just becomes Tommy. He's Tommy. Kyle is already Lindsay.
Yeah.
She could just put on her outfit and be Lindsay because she is Lindsay. And
Hmm.
then, but he had to step into some big shoes and fill a pivotal role in this reboot. So for him, I knew the pressure was high for him. You could
Yeah.
just tell. So just for me to just give him a minute just to tell him that, because I'm sure that he probably felt like I mean, I've seen him thank David and look at David like that. So for someone to look at him and recognize him like that, like that's a peer. I'm sure it probably helped some. I would hope. because he did have a rough time, not getting into his role, but just,
Mhm.
just probably, I'm sure if I was in my head, I'm sure he was in his head about,
Yeah.
I don't want to disappoint you guys. No one wants to disappoint you. None of us want to disappoint you guys. None of us.
Yeah.
So yeah, so he was, it's a lot of pressure. That's what I mean. So like, just understand that everyone put their heart into this. Everyone. Yeah.
It definitely looks that way and sounds that way from everybody I've talked to. And you've talked some about working with James, and of course, we love James here at HTN. Um, can you talk just a little bit about reuniting with him on the set of Kills? And is there any like fun behind the scenes moments, interactions with James that we as fans might not know about that you can share with us?
Okay, yeah, so I can share one, and
Okay.
then can I share that one? Well, yeah, I can share this one. So
Okay.
I told you when my children and my husband came on set, and he was
Hmm.
extra nice. So
Yes.
it was a lot of times that we sit out, and our stand-ins take the time. They do whatever, they set shots up and things like that. So there was a scene where there was some shooting done, and one of the shell casings, um, he came and he gave it to me, and he was like, "Show your kids, show your kids." So I was like showing them, like, because to let them know that, yeah, the bullets come out, like they're not real bullets, but it has shell casing. Like, this is
Hmm.
real deal. Like, like, so he's like, "Show the kids, keep it, like, keep it." Like he was just like
Yeah.
any little thing he could do to try to like accommodate my children and me. He was trying to do, like, to make us feel comfortable.
That's
And
cool.
like at this time, like Meg, I told you in 2018, he was James Jude Courtney, the stunt guy.
Hmm.
Now he is Michael Myers now for this new reboot. So to
Hmm.
have him over there, you'll see him, like I'll be shooting and I see him on the side with the kids and stuff, like, like, that's just like, he didn't have to do that. Like, he
Yeah.
was just, and a lot of them didn't have to do what they did for me, for my children, for my family, for this whole movie experience
Hmm.
period. They made it so, I guess I would say, memorable and rewarding. Yeah, that's what I would say.
Well,
Yeah,
it all sounds rewarding, and that you've already gotten so much positivity out of this. And like I said, we're 2 weeks out from the opening of the film. The marketing is in full swing right now, and you're all over it. Vanessa is featured all over it. And like I said, I just on TV last night watching something, I saw a commercial, and there you are again.
yeah.
And so now, as you know, well, since 2018, I'm sure you've experienced it. You're a part of this now. This is a massive fan base, as you've spoken about. There are some massively passionate fans out there, and some very opinionated on all things regarding this franchise. Uh,
Hmm.
and I'm sure you've probably felt them welcoming you here, and I think that's going to be even more so after this new film.
Hmm.
But maybe you can just speak a little bit about how that feels, just knowing that now, like we talked about, I mean, Lindsay Howe is a part of that legacy, and Nancy's a huge part of that legacy. Of course, Jamie Lee and James now, and Nick Castle, and all of them. But now you're part of this legacy too, and you're going to be part of these marathons that we do each year, and this is going to be one of those films that people watch multiple times over the years, I imagine, like
Hmm.
we do all the films in this franchise, and we'll all obsess over the details for, well, at least for the next year until Halloween Ends comes out, if not longer. I'm sure we're going to be obsessing over the
And
details
even
for a
after
while.
that, right?
Right, exactly. So how does it feel right now?
I feel like I'm in a dream sequence right now.
Hmm.
I don't, like, there was it, and it felt like September is just like gone. Like,
Hmm.
so it felt like there was a bunch of hurry up and wait till the date where we found out that it wasn't coming out. And then you kind of prepare yourself mentally because you don't want to think about it as much
Hmm.
during that year. Plus, we had a whole bunch of other things that was going on,
Yeah.
so you kind of put it on the back burner, and then you kind of see it like coming. The wheels start to roll, and then
Hmm.
you're like, uh oh, and then you're like, okay, am I on that train or is it just going? Like, you know what I mean? Like, and then so to see the trailer and see that I'm on the train, like this train is going and I'm on it. Like now it's just like, I can't believe that I'm part of this. Like I have to keep telling myself, I really do. I have to keep telling myself like, this is huge. Like you are part of something big. One day I was talking to my husband and I said, my children's children, my grandchildren, my great grandchildren are going to be watching Halloween one day on TV, and like that's grandma that had on those red fishnet stockings. Like, you know what I mean? Like yep. I'm gonna be looking back like, woo, I could wear those stockings back then. You know what I mean? Like it's going to be a time that's going to come on every year, and I'm a part of it now. Meeting the fans, I can't wait. Like just the fans that I have on my Instagram. My Instagram is not that big. It's very small, but the people that I have on there, like I treasure all those people who take the time to write a comment. That's why I try to respond to everyone right now that I can, because if you could just like something, you could just come on my page and look to comment. I think that takes time out of your day, and it would be nice to have someone respond back to you. So I try to do that, and you know, I think that when the movie comes out, I think it'll be a little different. I mean, I try not to think how it could be in case it's not like that.
Right.
So I just know that these moments that I have, the moments that I had on set, the moments that I had from 2018, all of that for me is huge. So anything after that is a cherry on top. So as I move through this journey and this Halloween wave takes me through, I'm just going to live in every moment. So next time you see me, if you see me, like, believe that I didn't dream that this would happen, but I'm in every moment of it, every moment. Yeah. So yeah.
Oh,
it's a crazy feeling. It's a good feeling. It's a scary feeling. It's an anxious feeling. It's an excited feeling. I was watching TV today too, and saw one of the spots come up, and I saw me. And I remember my husband and I, when I think it was the international trailer came out for Halloween, and that's when Jamie's talking. And this is 2018, and he was walking, and they were showing the scene when he was walking, and she was like 40 years ago, blah, 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 blah. And they showed me like a little glimpse of me walking during the walk in 2018. And I remember my husband and I sitting on my phone trying to get like pause it and see, like, you know,
yeah.
Like now I'm like featured in the trailer. Like I'm in the trailer. Like there's no doubt that you can't see me in this trailer. I'm in it. So that's not lost on me. None of this is lost on me. How big things have changed from then to now. How I mean, I'll tell you something and try not to cry. Just the other day, so my mom and my aunt passed away in October. So October has always been hard for me since my mom has been gone and my aunt prior to that. So being on set, that helped. Actually, the build up right now, like usually I get bad anxiety leading up to October, and I still have it now. But I feel like I have the comfort of the fans, because like we all have something to look forward to. So I should concentrate on what I have and what I don't have. But also what I do have, I know what I have my mom by my side. So like I know she's here. So it's not like I'm concentrating on something that I don't have with her. But the other day I heard a song that I heard that I couldn't listen to without crying. And I still cried. So I still cried when I heard it. But and I'm no punk, but I cried when I heard this. And it took me back, because usually music, because like being the only child, I listen to a lot of music, and I play, like, I love lip singing, and music is just like huge for me. So I remember right after my mom died, before her memorial service and before she was cremated, I remember thinking, like, I don't know how I'm gonna do this, because I'm the only child. Like, how can I do this? And it was unexpected. It was just me. So it was like a lot on my shoulders. And I remember being like, how do I do this? How do I do this? Just this part right here of getting her situated the way she wanted to be situated. And then after that, how do I pick myself up, go back to work, to my job, because I was working. I had a career. I was working. I had 2 small children. I had a husband. I couldn't just put my head in the sand and just stay in sorrow. I had to move on, and I just didn't know how that was going to happen. So when I heard the song the other day, it took me back to that place. But it brought me back to this place to know how far that I've come.
Yeah.
When I thought that I couldn't make it from that point to just making it to work, to just making it to get the kids up for school, I've done way more than that now. And I know that it's because she's the wind beneath my wings, of course, but also because I'm strong enough. Like, you know, like I don't give myself enough credit, and I realize that I'm strong enough, I'm good enough. And I feel like if everybody thought that about themselves, like there would be so much power in this world, because everyone would use their light for good things, I would hope, because they would believe in themselves, you know? Like I always tell people, find yourself first, because I had to find me, and I'm still finding me. So, you know, like to be in this, like that's why I live in my moments, because this moment needs to be cherished. Being with you right now is huge to me. It's huge to you. It's huge to them. The people outside of here don't know about, you know, what I'm doing right now. But in this moment, you are very important to me. These fans are very important. This interview is very important. This Halloween universe is very important to me. And I just want to suck it all up. Like I just want to like just engulf myself in all of this and let you all know how appreciative I am and just happy to be a part of this. Like it's an honor. It really is. It's an honor. The relationships that I've built, the people that I know now, the situations that I'll be in, that I'm in, just gratitude, just complete gratitude, and just I'm just blessed and just thankful. You're gonna hear that a lot. Anytime you see me, you're gonna hear me saying that. Anytime you look on my Instagram, you're gonna hear me saying that, because it's the honest God truth. I've been through so much in my life. Just to be right here, right now is huge to me. So live in your moments, because there are times that we've all been through some things that we thought we weren't going to get out of, and we still made it out. You have to appreciate that. You have to appreciate it. So yeah.
Right. Well, I think that's you know, a great message, and yeah, just so inspiring to hear your story and how so many things have kind of come full circle for you in a lot of ways, and in a lot of ways, you know, you're right at the beginning of a new stage of your career, it seems like, and that's going to be exciting moving forward. I mean, I'm already thinking we're going to have to have you back on here and have a whole nother conversation after the movie's out, and then we can talk about everything that we can't talk about now. I mean, that's going to be a whole nother couple hours of conversation after the film comes out. So we'll have that to look forward to.
The stories I have will have you dying laughing. Like there's some good stories from set. There's some really good. We spent a lot of time together. There's some good things. There's some fun things. Yeah, I can't wait to tell you. So I'll come back after the movie is out, and we will talk. I'm very loyal, so I remember you from back then. I remember that even like you said when David did the when they did the viewing that day for 2018 on Twitter. You wrote the article. You were right there mentioning our names. Every Michael Myers Monday, if there's a picture of us, if there's a video of us, if there's anything of us, you make sure that you mention my name, and I appreciate that. And I say that because there are still people that just call me the nurse or the sexy nurse, or the ones like they don't understand our part, our role. And I understand that as well. But I just hope that once everyone sees the movie, they'll understand that we were pivotal and that we do mean something. And even back in 2018, it just should teach you to look at every little thing, because you never know what character or who might be something later. You never know. So yeah, so it's a lot of lessons to be taken from this.
Oh, definitely.
School of hard knocks for Halloween Kills, I guess. Yeah, but there's a lot of lessons. Number one, always have Kyle Richards with you when you need a spa appointment. Number two. Number two, you know, just make sure that you just treat everyone with respect. Like, yeah, because you never know who someone could be. You never know who they would be next or where they could be next. You never know. So yeah.
I think that's again a great message for our audience and for everybody to hear. And well, this has just been awesome and just a pleasure talking to you and getting to know you better. I mean, as if I could be more excited for this film. I think I'm even more excited after talking to you.
You are. I hope you are. I'm excited. Let's get excited together because I am so excited. Like I am just like, whoo, I can't wait till this comes out because we've been waiting so long, Matt. Like it's time. It is time. No more speculations. Let's just get in there and watch this movie, guys. Like just have fun. So don't like make it a big deal about the trailer. Just go in and enjoy yourself, or just sit at home and enjoy yourself and watch it on Peacock. Like just know that October the 15th, 2021 is going to be a big deal for Halloween fans, and I hope you all enjoy it.
Yeah, can't wait. Thank you so much for joining me today. This has been great, and I can't wait to see the film and talk to you again about it.
Thank you. Best of luck with you, with the channel, with Halloween Daily News, and also too with the Michael Myers Monday. I'll be in there sneaking around. I do. Awesome. I come in and I look and I listen to you all the time. So keep up the good work. You have great content, and I'm sure that this is going to blow up as well, like your whole channel is, because you do a lot of great Halloween things, and I'm glad everyone gets to see it.
Oh wow! Well, that means so much coming from you. Thank you so much for those kind words. That means everything. And this was a blast.
Thank you. I knew it would be. I knew it would be. I can't wait to come back.